How often do you actually get back here for a game?
I probably come to 3, 4 games a year, spread
Okay.
out through different places. Maybe hit one on the road every year, but for the
Yeah.
most part, I come back to Kyle spring game and then maybe 3 games a year.
Okay. When you think back at your time here, I know it's pretty well documented, your career here, but for you personally, what stands out? Like what's the good or bad? Like what's your memory of your time at Texas A&M?
I think for me, just getting a chance to see how far A&M, when I come back now, getting a chance to see how far A&M's come, obviously with the stadium, how great it is. But for me, I made a lot of memories on Kyle Field. So every time I step out here, I mean, I'm flooded with different games or different memories of, times that we had here. We had this place rocking for a
Oh my
couple of years
God.
being here.
What was it like though, honestly, dude, being Johnny Manziel on a campus like this, where you grew up in this state? I mean, the world was there.
Yeah.
What was that? What
I
was that
mean,
like? Did
I
you have
mean,
one girlfriend in your time
yeah,
there?
I don't
Or
think I really had much of a girlfriend through
so you
the
just kind of,
through the football rise. For me, I was kind of just being a normal college student as much as I could be, and I think for me it got a little hard as the notoriety came throughout the first year, and then the second year is a little bit more of a blur. Just normalcy wasn't in my vocabulary a lot
yeah.
throughout that second year.
When did it change
Really,
for you?
it really changed after the Alabama game. I think I went into that stadium a higher end, SEC quarterback who was making a name for myself as a freshman, and then, you walk out of that stadium and you're a completely different person.
Yeah, yeah. I I think about because I got a chance to be around you during that time of your life, and I saw you actually your first start. I remember a big play against Florida, right,
Yep.
right in this area where
Yep.
you took off scrambled, and it was like holy cow. There's definitely different vibe there. So when you went through some turbulent times, um, that's the part I wonder. Like, if you changed anything, would you change any of it? Like, is that part of you growing up? Was that part of you kind of growing up as a person, not just as an athlete?
Yeah, I think, as my kind of college football rise, at times, your ego gets the best of you and you maybe think you're a little bit bigger than the game. And for
Yeah.
me, you know, things were so easy and so natural when I started to hit a little bit of a, you know, where I was doubting my confidence and doubting who I was as a quarterback a little bit. I think, part of it was just having some adversity and not dealing with it in the best way as a 23, 24-year-old kid. And then as you grow up and like learn through life, you learn a lot of things and learn what's important about life. And I think it is just a process of growing up.
Yeah, for all of us. You
Yeah.
just happen to be on a huge stage for the whole nation, not just A&M, the
Yeah,
whole nation.
I had a different, like life as well from the time I stepped foot on campus here in football and what fame and it all does to
Yeah,
you. So, I mean, I think everybody deals with it differently, and mine was, was the way I handled it. And I didn't always handle it the right way, but, we're still here today and still doing good
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So,
yeah. If you went now with the wisdom and talked to Johnny Manziel when he was 18 or 19, what would you tell a guy that might be that next Johnny Manziel when it comes to just the world? First, it's right there, and next thing you know, it's spinning a little bit out of control.
yeah, I think you just have to keep the main thing the main thing. For me, football was something I didn't put as much time as I probably should have. And, if you want to be great at something, you have to put the work into what it is.
Yeah,
And, really looking back, I wish I would have worked on it harder. I wish I would have grinded it out
really,
a little bit more. Yeah, I think, I let
because it just
myself.
came to you so
It
easy.
did. I mean, it really did. I as much work as we did put in here at A&M, I think for me, like you have to take that step. If you want to be on the next level and you want to be up here, you really have to work accordingly to that.
Yeah, I know you have a podcast getting ready to get going.
Yeah,
What,
launched a podcast called Glory Days. I'm going to be able to sit down with some other college athletes who are legends in their own right, and be able
yeah,
to see the highs and lows of their journey. And I think for me, getting a chance to still share my story and obviously get a chance to interview some people, and for me will be, it's always about helping other people, telling your story. And look at this guy,
yeah,
couldn't
oh
be
yeah,
happier.
yeah. That's cool. When do you have you already started that, or you're about to?
We're about to. We're kicking it
Okay,
off. We got
that'll be
some
a
good guests.
blast.
It'll be awesome. I'm looking forward to
Do
it.
you still dial into the college game? Like,
Yeah,
are you into it?
pretty much every Saturday I'm pretty dialed into it for the most part.
Okay, more than the pro game, you think?
Yeah, I think I watch. I'm a bigger fan of college football than I am the
Yeah,
NFL game for sure.
yeah. The passion. You know what I mean?
This is what made me. This is what I enjoy. The young kids getting a chance to come out and make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
The NFL is great, obviously, but I've always been more attracted to the college football side of things.
Are we gonna lose what we love about college? Like what you grew up with, what I grew up with. I mean, I'm talking about the fan part of it. I think everyone's worried about, oh my gosh, like there's no more Pac-12 and what's happening with NIL and the portal and just all at once. I think more has changed in the last 2 years than maybe the previous 100 years.
Yep.
I'm just saying the fan in you, and you care about the players. Is it is it still pure? Is it still college football? Or
I mean, it is still college football. I think you still have your guy who comes in as a 3-star guy and comes in kind of like I did and has to make a name for himself to be able to get there. But I think very much for the next couple of years, it's still going to have to be able to figure itself out on what this NIL is going to look like and what conferences and this and that. So I think we'll have a little bit more of a clearer picture over the next couple of years. But for now, it's still kind of the wild, wild west.
no doubt. Who do you have winning the national championship this year besides your
I
squad?
think Georgia's going to be really hard to beat this year. I think they're just really good, top to bottom of their roster. They're going to have a lot of guys who are just probably in the early rounds of this next NFL draft. They're
Yeah.
just stacked.
Yeah. How has he done that? You
I
you
think
guys
it's
were
just-
rolling. You were rolling when you were here
Yeah,
like
of
that.
course. I think it's just recruiting. You have to continue to
Yeah.
do it over and over again. It doesn't ever get tired. It doesn't ever get stale. You have a formula that works. And I think, what they have that's appealing is obviously bringing in young guys in who want to get to that next level. Everybody wants to get a chance to go play in the NFL. And when you see some place that turns them over like a factory to be able to do that,
Yeah.
and the competition level is obviously extremely high. There's kids who want to get in there and work and get in there
Yeah.
and compete.
How do you sell to players individual brand, and these guys grow up in an individual brand with Instagram and Twitter, and then they go come into a team like Texas A&M, and then how does a coach get them to be like comfortable? The coach being comfortable with that, but then get the guys to buy into it. We're here to win. Like
Yeah.
we're here to. It's about the team, even though your world is about the individuality and that kind of thing. I'm just curious, like if you were recommending it to Mike Elko or to any college coach, how do you, on one hand, allow them to be individual, and on the other hand, make sure they worry about the NFL and the NIL, put that on the back burner?
I think it's
That-
obviously. I think it's obviously what you do with them in the building. What the time you have with them, you have to stay on them and stay pretty hard on them. But at the same time, like educating them on what this is, right? Obviously, what they're doing now with money and finances and all these things. I think you're obviously who the leader of your team and who the leader of your program is will speak
So
volumes.
you think
on.
the alphas can help establish that? It's one thing to come from a coach, but if the Johnny Manziel of the team,
Yeah, you're going to have some leaders in the locker room and some leaders in the team that are going to have to show the guys how it was. I mean, when I came in, we luckily had a great group of older guys who kind of show you the ropes. And that's what it is for your first couple of years as you're there, learning from the older guys, and those guys have to say. But also whoever's running your program, a guy like Coach Elko, these strong guys who are able to keep the nonsense aside. And at the end of the day, you can have all the brand and all the notoriety
Yeah.
in the world you want. But if you don't come out here between the lines and show that you can play and keep the main thing,
Yeah.
what does your brand really matter?
how would you been able to capitalize in this world? Like you imagine you make that play against Florida right there,
Yeah.
and you become Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, whatever, and you're at a big, I mean, you imagine you wouldn't have had to do the things that you got involved with. You would
Yeah.
have just been, think about that.
Yeah, I mean,
It's so different.
it's a completely
So
different game.
wild.
To be able to, like, whenever I was in college, being able to have 1 million Instagram followers and being able to do these things,
Yeah.
it might have changed my approach to coming out or leaving early
Right,
as I
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
It's really, a different game right now where guys are able to get paid 7 figures playing
Yeah.
college sports.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know I can't remember what Caleb made last year.
A lot.
A lot, a whole lot. One last thing, just in general about college football and just trying to build a team. When it comes to quarterback play, nobody knows it better than you. You are such a creator. But what do you think if you were going to design the modern college quarterback in 2024, 25, 26, where's the game headed? You still think, remember the days of Peyton Manning,
Yeah.
Tom Brady,
Yeah.
those 7-step drop,
course.
play from the pocket? Guys like you help change that. You look in the NFL now, almost every guy is a runner.
Yeah.
So where do you think the future of that position is going?
I think it goes more in that direction of even guys who are in the NFL are very mobile. You still have to be able to extend drives on
Yeah.
third down and be able to run and be able to move. Even if you're not a prototypical dual threat, you're a guy that's running a read option and doing things like that, you still have to pull the ball down and be able to take off and run to pick up some of these downs. And
Yeah.
I think that's where the game's headed.
That's not going to change.
It's not going to change. I think the passing game will always have to be there, but your stereotypical getting into these 7-step drops, a lot of under center eye formation, you don't see it near as much as
You really
you used
don't.
to anymore.
Even in college, really.
No.
I mean, think about, I don't know what high school offense you ran, but I'm guessing maybe a sign, no huddle, up tempo. And guys like you, that's what they learn in high school and in college and in the NFL. I feel like Andy Reid and these guys finally just said, hey man, instead of making Pat Mahomes try to learn our style West Coast offense,
Yeah.
let's adjust to his skill set. That's what it seems like.
Yep.
I think they've just stopped trying to
I think it's what you
change
see. It's what you
quarterbacks.
see in 90% of offenses around the country every single time in college football, every single year. So I think
Yeah.
the games only keep continuing to go in that direction, and it'll be interesting to see it. But that's my take on it.
Yeah. Well, by the way, do you have a dog?
I don't have a dog, but
You
I
don't?
love Ben.
I mean, how chill is
He's
this
the
guy?
best. He doesn't get any better.
He's just like, oh, Johnny, I appreciate you being our first
Of
guest.
course.
He's had a heck of a run.
Just having a good time out here on the field today, aren't you, Ben?
Well, we appreciate you joining
Always
us.
good to see you, my
man.
friend.
Great to see you.
Yes, sir.
Have a
Appreciate
great
you
time
having
back
me.
home.
Absolutely.
Good
Thank
luck
you,
to your Aggies.
my man. Thank you.